Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Andy in Singapore. For today's video, we are going to do a very quick review of this Orient Bambino Moon phase. So this watch is not a new model. I think it was launched around 2 years back, and this is not a very popular model. So in this video, I'm going to run you through some of the main reasons why this model hasn't been very popular after all. So the Bambino Moon phase, they came out with a few dial color variations, and this is the silver dial version. Right, so I'm not too sure if you can see it clearly under this studio light condition. It is a sort of a silverish dial, but from afar it looks like white. And there are other versions, mainly the beige dial version as well as the black dial version. If I'm not wrong, there's also one with a gold-plated case. Reference number for this particular color variation is RA-AK0802S. So this is done in typical Orient fashion. Reference number is a pain to remember. And now with the lens zoom in very slightly, let me run you through some of the key specifications of the Bambino Moon phase. So this has a case of 41.5 millimeters. Right, so the Bambino does have a 41.5 case version, and this looks like a direct transplant into that case. Total thickness here is a shocker. It comes in at 14.5 millimeters. So when I held the watch, I didn't realize that the watch is so thick. I think it's largely contributed to this high dome mineral crystal. Alright, so you can see how the bubble glass here protrudes, but overall it is really thick. And the good thing is there's a curve to the mid case, so it doesn't really wear so thick. Lug width on the Bambino Moon phase is a weird 21mm size, but don't worry about it because these days there are many different strap vendors that sell 21mm straps. L to L distance here is very manageable, comes in at 47.2 millimeters, and I guess this is what makes the Bambino Moon phase wearable. You can see together with this curve to the mid case as well as the relatively short lug, this doesn't make the watch overly big and long on your wrist. And in line with the Bambino model line, this watch here is powered by Orient's lower tier low beat movement. Caliber number here is F6B24. It does offer hacking and hand winding, but at the end of the day, it is still a very low beat and low accuracy movement. One thing to note, this watch does not have sapphire crystal. Both the display back as well as the bubble glass here, they're mineral glass. And I'd like to bring to your attention how this bubble glass here plays with the distortion. So from this angle, you can see the watch hands. They look like they're bent. Alright, so I think this is the effect created by the bubble glass, by the dome crystal. I feel that this is rather cool, but it's not my thing. Okay, so it causes a bit of a havoc when it comes to time reading. But if you want the vintage look, that kind of aesthetics, I think this may work for you. At the time of this video, the Bambino Moon phase has a street price of around $440. And this is sort of a jump from the usual Bambino prices because Bambinos typically come in around 300 Singapore dollars, and this represents an upcharge, sort of a premium you pay for if you want the moon phase function. Let's move on and talk a little bit on the overall build quality of the Bambino Moon phase. So as mentioned earlier in my video, I said that this is very similar to the regular Bambinos, and you could see that this is not very high-end build quality. Alright, so the finishing, the materials and all that, they largely fall under the entry-level category. Nothing fantastic. Polishing is not the most refined. Materials used, not fantastic as well. There is no sapphire crystal. Right, so we've got a non-screw-in crown that hacks and hand winds. The crown here is nicely signed. Some sort of laser etching and all that. But overall, this watch here remains very basic, very entry-level. I wouldn't even call this one a mid-tier. And on to the overall dial design and the color combination, I would say this for me should be the pick of the model line. I think this silver white looking dial is looking very good on this design. Okay, so this is a more towards dress kind of design, classic looking dress watch design. We've got Roman numerals at the 246 markers and all that. And I think overall it's still very clean, right, despite having all these subdials. Right, the subdials here are also sort of concave, if that's the word to describe. Okay, they're not on the same level, same plane as the dial, and we've got applied markers for the hour markers. And I'm also liking the blue hands. I'm pretty sure these hands are not heated blue, they're sort of painted, but again, you know, this color combination looks well for this type of design, the dressier kind of design. Let's run through some of the functions here on this crown. So by pulling out the crown one notch, you can set the day as well as the date. So if you turn the crown downwards or anti-clockwise, you are setting the date. And if you turn the crown upwards, clockwise, you are setting the day. You can hear a really nice soft click as the pointer hand jogs around the day dial. So the action of the winding as well as the time setting, no issues at all, is actually very decent. So here's a look again on the bubble glass, the high dome crystal. Alright, you can see it's creating all sorts of distortion. Alright, so it could still be a convex dial, this one. I'm not too sure if it's entirely the glass or it's a combination of both the glass as well as the dial. Alright, the distortion here is pretty crazy. Zooming out for a stage wrist shot of the Bambino moon face, you can see that this one wears really well despite the larger numbers on specification. Alright, so it's got a large case as well as a thicker case, 14.5, but it certainly doesn't feel so because of the shorter lux. And the overall height is contributed largely from this bubble glass, so I would say you could take off about 2 millimeters or so, and this is probably why the watch doesn't feel overly big. And here's also a quick size comparison between the Orient moon face and my own Nomos Club Campus. So this Club Campus is about 38.5, and one look you can tell that the moon face here is indeed quite a bit larger than my Nomos. Alright, so in terms of lug length though, the Nomos here is really long. I think it comes in close to 50 millimeters, but when we are looking at just the case sizes, you know that the Orient Bambino moon face here is not a small watch at all. So let's come back to the main reasons why the Bambino moon face is not a very popular watch. Alright, so I think the main reason why this watch has been very quiet under the radar is mainly because this is a watch that nobody asked for. I'm not sure how many fans out there, Orient fans or not, I'm not too sure how many of these watch collectors actually wanted this watch to be launched. Alright, there are many other different moon face watch coming out from Orient, and I would say the main Bambino fans, they want something small, simple, you know, three-hander with date, smaller case, thinner case for daily wear and all that. But this is quite the opposite. Alright, so you've got things like added moon face subdials and this and whatnot. The case is also thicker, largely due to the movement, I guess. Alright, so maybe this movement, it demands a thicker case or a taller glass or something like that. And not to mention, this watch costs quite a bit more than the regular Bambino. So again, you know, we're looking at about $140, $150 difference. Alright, so you know, the problem is sort of compounded. Alright, in the first place, nobody wanted this model to be built anyway. So not every fan would want a chrono version of a popular watch. So I find this to be very similar in the case of Sumo, the Seiko Sumo. So the Seiko Sumo Diver is a very popular model in the Seiko lineup, but the Seiko Sumo chronograph, on the other hand, nobody pays attention to it. Right? It doesn't sell well, it's not popular at all, it's too big, too thick, too expensive, this and that. So this is largely the same case for the Bambino moon face. Alright, so it is a watch with add-ons, but nobody is asking for it. And this largely explains why the Bambino moon phase is not popular at all. So there you have it. That was my full review of the Orient Bambino moon phase. Definitely not my kind of thing. This watch is more for the Bambino fans out there who want to expand their collection, you know. They want to have everything in the Bambino lineup. Gold-plated version, bracelet version, and we've got the moon phase version over here. Otherwise, I don't see many reasons why people will be interested in this watch. Alright, so this is Andy in Singapore. I will see you soon for more watch review videos together with George and his crew members. We're saying bye for now. Goodbye.